homie.
Yeah, I was going to ask you. So, Katie, I know if you're comfortable talking about it, because I know you had a stroke a while back, and that kind of played a role in a lot of where you're at now. If you're comfortable talking about it, could we discuss that on here as well?
Yeah, absolutely. And it was a long while ago. And
Right.
but yeah, I'm absolutely comfortable talking about it now. I wasn't for a long time because I didn't want people to look at me as disabled, for lack of a better word. And so for the first like few years, I didn't really talk about it because I didn't want sympathy. Like I would accept empathy, but I didn't want sympathy. And I didn't want, oh, if you can't handle this, if you think it's too hard, don't worry about it. Like I didn't want that. I wanted to prove that I could do it. And now I'm fully 100% okay with embracing it. If anything, I feel like it is fuel to help motivate others. It happened in August 9th of 2009. I was living in Atlanta, Georgia at the time, and I was on my way out to East Georgia, about a couple hours from where I lived. And all of a sudden, luckily I wasn't driving this morning, but for whatever reason that morning my head went down. The person I was with said, "It looks like you're having a stroke." I laughed. I was like, "There's no way I'm having a stroke." He took me to the nearest clinic, and turns out that I had a bilateral ischemic stroke. So an ischemic stroke is actually the most common of all the strokes. A bilateral ischemic is actually very uncommon. Usually strokes are a result of some sort of cardioembolic cause of some sort. Mine, they suspect a clot developed in my leg sometime during adolescent years. Like I said earlier, I played basketball, volleyball. I was always on my feet. I waited tables, was always on my feet. So the clot could have developed at any point during my childhood and adolescent years. For whatever reason, this particular morning, it moved up from my leg, through my heart, and to my brain. They found out after they airlifted me to a larger hospital in Atlanta that I actually had what the stroke killed, or what the clot killed rather, was an extra artery in my brain called the Percheron artery. This artery is only between 7 and 10% of the population. It's very, very rare, and it's connected to the thalamus. The thalamus is a part of your brain in the very middle that is basically your relay station of all incoming motor and sensory info, like hearing, taste, sight, and touch. So, like I said, that's the part of my brain that was killed, was the Percheron artery, and the thalamus was affected as well. So, luckily, the fact that it was bilateral is why I don't have any of the, how a lot of times people after strokes, one side of their face and their body will be droopy, bad mobility issues where they can hardly lift one shoulder, one arm. I didn't have that, luckily. Mine was more of my, I guess, motor skills, but not moving my limbs. It was memory. It was trying to get volume out of my mouth. I couldn't talk. For a very long time. I could speak, but I couldn't put any volume out of my mouth. And the crazy thing about my stroke is it is so rare. My neurologist that I had at the hospital in Atlanta said that he had to search through every medical journal that he had. He finally ended up calling the top neurologist at Emory Hospital, I think, and they were only able to find one other documented case of my type of stroke that affected the artery of Percheron, and he was like 64 years old, this other gentleman that had it. So it was very, very rare, very scary. My rehabilitation was give or take about a year-ish, in order to be able to shower on my own without feeling like I was going to fall over. Somebody had to be in the bathroom with me while I was showering, which was really debilitating. I didn't drive. I couldn't cook my own food, like nothing. So I've really, really come a long way, and I like to think that I'm an amazing success story. And that's also a big reason why I got into fitness as a career, because like I said, I feel like I'm going to meet somebody at some point that maybe hasn't gone through the exact same thing as I have. But has dealt with some sort of brain trauma that has affected them, their memory, especially, or their mobility or whatever. And I can personally empathize on a personal level 100%. And so that's all I want to do. I want to be motivating others is what motivates me. So that's my main goal in this. So
yeah, quite a motivating story. Wow. So you really had to fight through. Was it more of like a support system you had that kind of got you through, or just your own internal will?
both, but definitely my support system. My mom used to be she was an LPN nurse,
Mm-hmm.
and so she knows so much about just health in general. And so she actually was she rehabilitated me. I wasn't comfortable in going to any kind of rehab or anything like that because I was just so emotionally stressed over it. I couldn't do a lot of things that I was able to do before the stroke. And so she helped rehabilitate me. And then I dealt with, why did this even happen to me? Because I didn't have any of the risk factors. So I'm sure that y'all know the typical risk factors for strokes, no matter what you're out for younger adults. The typical risk factors are things like smoking, or tobacco use, drinking, drug use, birth control. Those are probably the top four that can cause strokes for the most part. And I had none of them, none of them. The only risk factor I had at the time was that I smoked cigarettes, but I was so busy. It took me like 5 days to smoke a whole pack. So it wasn't like I was smoking excessively. I don't know. I don't know where it came from, but yeah, definitely a huge support system. And a lot of it was kind of internal, intrinsic motivation, if you will, because like I said, from being an athlete my whole life, I was like, I'll be damned if I cannot go to the gym again and work out on my own and learn how to properly lift weights again. And I somehow found some sort of internal motivation to keep going. I felt like God gave me a second chance at life, and I didn't want to pass up any opportunity that came to me. I don't know why it took this long for the opportunity to work with Donnie came up, but I'm glad that it did. So I'm excited to see where it takes me.
That's awesome. Any of those symptoms residual at all, like memory or the taste that you mentioned?
So taste, no, my taste is fine. The only thing that's really residual at this point is the memory for sure. Now it's not like I'm not going to forget that your name is Isaac. Like I'm not going to forget that in 2 seconds. It's not like I don't know that movie with Drew Barrymore where she forgets everything every day
50
when she wakes
Dates.
up. 51st Date. It's not something like that. It's a different kind of memory. Like my long-term memory is pretty much there. It's basically my short-term memory that is really crap. And the emotional stuff is still there. Like too much stimuli at one time can really overwhelm me to where my brain just shuts down. I have to sit down and in a cool, dark room and have like nothing for like 30 minutes. So my brain can get overwhelmed at times, like I said, with too much stimuli, but for the most part, I've learned how to manage it a lot better now. So